I now want to move on and explain the concept of negative marking, another thing called cancelled answers and lists. So in section A, negative marking does apply if you give extra answers. So if we take a look at this example, the walls of xylem vessels are reinforced with, and the marking scheme says that the answer is lignin. But in the sample answer here, what you can see is that the candidate, right, the student, has given two answers, chitin and lignin. One answer is right and one answer is wrong. Therefore, this student scores 4 minus 4, so gets 0 marks. The next sample answer would be lignin, but the word lignin has been crossed out. The answer, which is correct, was cancelled by the candidate, but there's no other answer. So the examiner will always try and do their best on the part or on the behalf of the student. So in this case, the student would get the 4 marks. And in the last sample answer on this question, lignin is written down, chitin is also written down, but it is crossed out. So there is a surplus answer, but this time, as it is crossed out, the marks can be given. So the 4 marks will be awarded. Now, if we look here at this question, it says, name the 4 elements that are always present in protein. And the answers are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. In this sample answer, the answers given are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and calcium. There is a surplus answer, which is incorrect. So this effectively cancels out one of the right answers. So for the 12 marks that could be awarded, this student is now only going to get 9. So it's kind of like 4 3s minus a 3 leaves this student with 9 marks. The next sample answer is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and calcium. This time there are 3 right and 1 wrong, but because 4 answers were asked for, this student is going to get 3 3s for 9, and they are not penalized. The next sample answer gives us carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, calcium, and aluminium. An extra answer is given. 2 of the 5 are incorrect. So this student is only going to get 2 3s because the extra answer that is incorrect is going to cancel out one of the answers that was correct. And finally, on this one, we can see the same again, except one of them is now being crossed out. So there are 4 answers given. One of the surplus answers is incorrect, but the other surplus answer has been crossed out. So this student is going to get 3 3s for 9 out of 12 total. So that is the state of play for section A. And what I would say is look for the command words in the question. And if it says clearly to name 4 elements, we'll make sure that you just answer 4. There's no need for you to write any more than that. We move on now to section C, and we look at the idea that there is no negative marking here, but there is something called a list system. And so in section C, the long questions, if we look at this sample, it says state 3 functions of the cerebrum. And the marking scheme gives a whole host of answers here, okay, because there's so many functions of the cerebrum. This student has given a sample answer which includes memory, learning, and speech. There are 3 correct answers, so this time the student gets 3 3s and gets all 9 marks. In the next sample answer that we look at, we see memory, conscious thought, learning, and speech. The candidate, as you can see, has given us 4 answers. And if I'm marking this as an examiner, because I've only been asked for 3 functions, I am going to mark the first 3. So I'm going to say correct, incorrect, correct, and then I stop marking. Even though the 4th answer is correct, I can't award the marks because the question clearly said to state 3 functions of the cerebrum. So this student will actually only get 6 marks out of the 9 going. So what I would like to focus on with you now and maybe go through with you is a guide on how to approach some questions and also how to break down a long question. So here's a short question that you will find in section A. It's nearly always going to be question 1. Name the 3 chemical elements that are present in all carbohydrates. So it does say name, so I would be writing them down as opposed to just putting in the chemical element symbol. Carbohydrate literally means carbon, water. So it's carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And so that's what you should write here in the answer. Okay, so carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. This question, the next one, part B, comes up so much. Give the general formula for carbohydrates. A lot of students here are going to make the mistake of writing down the formula for glucose. So this is not asking you to write down C6H12O6. This is asking you to write down CX bracket H2O Y outside the bracket. And you should be aware then that the ratio, okay, of hydrogen to oxygen in water is 2:1. Next question, name the smallest unit of a carbohydrate. And again, they're not looking here for the word glucose. They're looking for you to be aware of the phrase mono, meaning one, and saccharide, meaning sugar unit. So the smallest sugar unit is a monosaccharide. Name the type of carbohydrate formed when many of the smallest units of a carbohydrate bond together. This really is asking, do you know that the word poly means many? So the answer to this question is polysaccharide. Give one structural role of carbohydrates in living organisms. And you should be thinking about plants here, and you should be kind of thinking of either cellulose, which is found in plant cell walls, and it does ask for one, so that is an answer. I'm also just going to put a forward slash, and I'm going to put in the word chitin, which would be in fungal cell walls, because it does say living organisms as opposed to just plants. So there's two possible answers, and you could even have also said lignin. Carbohydrates are an important component of the diet. State one dietary source of carbohydrates. So again, there's so many answers here that a student could write down, but if you were to write down pasta here, or rice, or bread, or potatoes, you would be correct.